Well, since like Karen is goading me to talk about Suzette, of course Karen really likes to hear me say bad things about other girls, I've noticed, but so I had these old journals out. Remarkable coincidence, I actually found some Suzette stories in these old journals, written as they occurred, the situations. So here's something. I'll just read it. I just looked at it stuff later on. It seems to get pretty dicey later on. So I'll just read it and see where it goes. Right as I decide to forgive Suzette for everything and decide that I've overreacted, the final lesson is taught to me, and I have the last proof that this girl is nothing but a white trash whore, and that she thinks of no one but herself. She's always treated me like shit, and I was a fool when I forgot that and decided to forgive her. She lied to me till the end. Till our last hour together, she has told me nothing but lies. It's a damn good show. I caught her in the act, and I have the irrefutable evidence of my own eyes. I've seen her for what she is, a homely whore. Oh, hope she never sees this. She told me she wanted me to leave so she could have time alone, and that she had no intentions of fooling around with this new guy right away, but just wanted his friendship for now. Right. Well, these are the facts. I was in the area and hungry. My food is still in her kitchen. I stopped by, figuring she'd be at her dance club. Those were her plans for Friday night last time we spoke. When I arrived at the door, my first impulse was to get in and out of the cold as quickly as possible. Luckily, I had the foresight to check around her unit and make sure her bedroom light was off. She usually left the house lights on when she was out, but I thought it was unusual for her to have left her bedroom lamp on when she was out. So even though her porch light was on, which she only left on if she was out for the evening and expecting to return late, I decided to give the door buzzer a nice long ring anyway. I did this, and though I still perceived no movement within, gave it 2 more good buzzes. After waiting long enough to assure myself that no one was inside, I proceeded to let myself in. I guess I had her key. I fumbled with the keys for what must have been a full minute, then fitting the proper key into the proper lock, entered the unit. When I was inside, I don't recall sensing anyone's presence. Maybe very vaguely, but certainly not too much, I guess. I surveyed the front room, noticing a stack of belongings lying in a heap by the writing desk that I wasn't familiar with. A greasy green book bag full, and a blue sweater thrown over it, among other items. I was taken a bit by surprise by this and didn't know what to make of it. I knew somehow right away that these were the belongings of Suzette's new friend. But before I could make up my mind as to what my next course of action should be, someone emerged from the bedroom. It was in shadow, the doorway, as it's situated in the hall. For some reason I perceived it as a masculine presence, but I thought in that second that maybe Suzette's friend or some other guy was watching her place for her while she was out. But just as I was getting ready to explain what I was doing there to the stranger, the form moved out into the hallway, and I saw that it was only Suzette herself. I was surprised to see that she was home after all. For not only did I ring the bell 3 times before entering, I also called her before I left towards her place, and I received no answer. So I thought she wasn't home, and I found out she was. By the arrangement of her clothes, it was only terribly obvious what she had been up to when I came to her door. Her clothes were obviously quickly thrown on, her shirt half in, half out, and her hair was considerably disheveled. But I couldn't help wondering why she had bothered getting fully dressed at all. Why didn't she just throw on a robe to answer the door as she usually did when we were caught in those type of situations in the past? I even vaguely remember that she even had her shoes on. Although I wouldn't swear to this, but she at least had socks on. While I was taking all this in, a mysterious smile played across her lips. I thought in that second, what a real bitch she must be if she was getting some sort of perverse pleasure out of my discovering her in this situation. However, I also thought that because her smile was such a queer one, that maybe it was forced because she was embarrassed and didn't know how to act. Yet I was not in the least embarrassed myself. I was righteously indignant, since this was only the final confirmation of my doubts as to her moral character. I saw her for what she was at last, and I was disgusted. I told her that I had come for food. She asked if I wanted the food in the refrigerator. I replied curtly but firmly, "Dry goods." She grabbed the bag out of the kitchen and was just entering the hall. The kitchen was to the left at the end of the hall. When I said that I didn't want the whole bag, I then began to proceed down the hall towards the kitchen with firm, measured steps, my boots coming down solidly against the carpeted wooden floor as I walked. I knew this would take me by her bedroom, the door of which she thoughtlessly left open. As I walked by, I heard a male clearing his throat and a rustling sound of cloth rubbing against cloth, as of someone either pulling on their pants or rolling out of bed. I entered the kitchen, took a small shopping bag from her stock, and took from my grocery bag 2 apples and a tin of breadcrumbs, which I did only for show, knowing that it was nearly empty anyway, and that I'd ditch it on my way to the club. I guess I was going to the club afterwards. In my nervousness, I rummaged through the big bag, making the excuse that I thought I had a small can of instant coffee. She said she hadn't seen it, which was true since I just made that up. That was a kind of a stinker too, I guess, but not anywhere near as bad as Suzette. All this while that same Mona Lisa smile rippled over her lips. She complimented me on my boots, probably out of nervousness, a compliment which I tactfully acknowledged. Tactfully? Yeah, acknowledged. With silence. I didn't say anything, see. I then proceeded towards the door with my characteristic booted gait. I glanced into the bedroom and saw a shirtless man kneeling toward the wall with his arms supporting him and his head down. It is good for all concerned that he chose to lay low, since I, filled with righteousness and hardened with anger, by this revelation, felt I had the strength of 10 men and would have retaliated with interest if he in any way tried to threaten me. She followed me out into the living room, and I marched out, leaving the door wide open, still that awkward smile loosely hanging from her mouth. I'd be interested to know what she said to her visitor after I left, but I don't care all that much. On my way to the club, I ate my apples and left the breadcrumbs in a payphone. I guess I knew all along what she was, but I naturally fought against it. No one wants